So, Tecno just released the Phantom V Fold 2. They also released a flippable phone as well, but the V Fold 2 is causing a lot of stir because it's a $1,000 foldable cell phone, which with the biggest battery of any foldable cell phone on the market with 5750 millihertz, it automatically becomes interesting until you find out the fact that it's not available in America. So if you are American, you can't pick up the cell phone. But there is another thing that's very interesting. Let's talk about it. So on paper, this cell phone is very comparable to the other three foldable cell phones right here. You got a 6.42 inch outside display, cover display, a 7.85 inch inside display. It does have 12 gigabytes of RAM. It runs Android 14. It has a dual 50 megapixel cameras with a front facing camera that's 32 megapixel. And then this bad boy right here. It has a 2-year-old processor. So the processor is a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor, which obviously, as we know, is right around 2 years old. And that's really the only issue with this device. Outside of the 2-year-old processor, it's very comparable to any other cell phone, but you do get a 5750 millihertz battery. And again, you don't got to deal with the $1,700 price tag, as this phone comes in at a solid $1,000. I feel like there would be a market for this cell phone, especially because it's a foldable cell phone that's more affordable. But I don't know what the market would be like if they did go international and they release this in America. Also, I'm not sure what the actual durability is of this cell phone. That's another thing. When you cut the price down, yes, the processing unit does help out a lot to cut the price down, but I don't know how much it helps. I mean, at some point, I feel like you might be cutting corners and making a product that's inferior because the price tag is not up there. Usually the reason why the price tag is higher for these foldable cell phones is because it costs them more money to make the foldable cell phones, right? So it's kind of that situation where it's like, these are way too expensive. But it's like, oh, it's because the fact it costs them a lot to make them, and that's why they have such a hefty price tag. Because again, like I said, on paper, outside of the obvious, this does have wireless charging, it has Wi-Fi 6, it has stylus support. Again, it has no US price because it's not available in the United States. But outside of that, this is very much a everything you could think of perfect cell phone that it just has a 2-year-old processor. Which again, if like for example Samsung did something like this, they released a Z Fold Fan Edition and they put a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor in it with 12 gigabytes of RAM, or let's say 16 gigabytes of RAM, and everything else was the same with a humongous battery, which already, keep in mind, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor is going to use up less battery power-wise than the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, which automatically means that you're going to get more battery life on that 5700 battery than you would if it was in the latest and greatest cell phone. Just kind of another fun fact there. So overall wise, I feel like there would be a market for this. It's just, again, like I said, when you're cutting corners, I wonder what other corners have been cut. Because on paper, it looks very comparable to every other phone here, but at what cost are you cutting other things as well? Like, what issues down the line are we going to see because of that? But again, like I said, still a really cool device, and love to see more and more cell phones come out, especially at more reasonable prices. And yeah, so definitely tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.